Oh, this room. It's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you'd left it. But it has been some 6 months. It's true.
And so is your father alright, Susie? What happened?
My father? Yes, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason.
That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised but happy.
I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. The International Forensic? That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris.
Oh.
You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yes, of course, I shall. And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma. About Kazuma? I know. I'll tell you all that I can. About Kazuma? Did she write anything about Kazuma? I forgot. I don't remember. Iris...
It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I called it The Hound of the Baskervilles.
But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it, and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it.
And so nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie?
Oh, it sounds so exciting, The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it.
And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it.
Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? Is today the day? Oh, I think it's time.
Oh.
I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. Oh boy. This is definitely related to Dr. Wilson, isn't it? It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study, and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Professor Mikotoba. Maybe he got it from Dr. Wilson or something. What?
My Baskerville story?
Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Susato, what are you doing?
Oh, Father?
Did you look at those papers?
No, I simply read the label, that's all.
Well, put it out of your mind.
Sorry?
Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand? Oh my goodness. But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan?
I have no idea. But when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed.
that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt that father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you.
Oh, thank you for being so honest, Susie.
So maybe it relates to some government secrets, that's why Mikotoba has it. And maybe it's not related to Dr. Wilson at all. Your room through there should be exactly as you left it. I've still never been inside. I've never been invited.
Of course not. Only Iris is allowed in my room.
What? No doubt I'll be hearing you two giggling away in there again, then. Again? Okay. I'm such a gentleman. Daruma doll?
I see your Daruma still has only one eye filled in.
Well, we agreed that it's something we'd do together, didn't we? We could do it right now, if you like. I'd be happy with that.
I rather like the anticipation, I think, Mr. Naruhodo.
My poor Daruma doll. You see, I've been keeping my desk beautifully covered in papers as always.
You really must tidy it all up, Mr. Naruhodo. No more excuses.
But, Mr. Sato, the way I see it, all these papers building up on my desk like this are a reminder of my wonderfully diverse daily life. I like to leave them as they are, so I never forget how lucky I am to have such varied experiences. Did I write this out and learn this by heart? Or did I prepare this beforehand?
In that case, you should definitely have a thorough tidy. Then you'll be able to see your papers building up all over again and feel that joy renewed.
Still can't beat her in an argument, even though I'm the lawyer here. Okay, let's talk.
When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely.
The awful trial? Oh yes, for the murder of Josiah Brett.
Oh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie?
How do you know?
Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Oh, wow, amazing! I wish I'd seen it, don't you, Runo?
Yes, I suppose so. I would like to meet my cousin.
I want to play at being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe.
I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. It's called roleplay. Or cosplay, maybe. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Mr. Sato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
That's right, the very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it.
Dog collar? That's what we're calling it now? A dog collar?
It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet.
Why would that be then?
Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets.
Wow.
Oh, Susie!
That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. And what are you doing? with the Forensic Science Symposium? Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jikoku have been invited.
So your father's here as well, and Judge Jikoku?
It's something of an honor, I believe.
Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country after all, but who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say?
Yes, His Excellency Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruhodo. Last year in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder.
Yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days.
Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial.
I hope Judge Jigoku won't ever meet this judge here in England because they have the same voice. If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face again in my life.
Oh, well, anyway, as father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait.
Oh, wait, you weren't traveling together?
As I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on ahead.
Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important.
I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General.
The most senior position in the British justice system. There's someone even above him, the Lord Justice?
He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition.
Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Strongheart personally then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on. And didn't really listen to much of it. Lost the will to live? Please be mindful of your expressions.
How trying for you.
Jezal Brett. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, Jezal Brett, that's a name I won't forget for as long as I live.
The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget.
Sorry?
Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Jezal Brett didn't actually exist.
What? You mean that's a fake name? Didn't exist, but how can that be?
It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin, and she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front.
Shin? Well, is that an English name? It doesn't sound English. A front? Who on earth was she then?
Miss A. Shin. Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan.
She was not sent by the British government?
It's a complete mystery.
But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could a woman have been up to?
I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand.
And now she's been killed. while all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered.
I'm afraid so.
Yishn. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? Is it one of the names that were written on that Morse code, secret Morse code disk thingy?
After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
I know the truth! I know you had a hand in what went on! In that visiting student's fate! Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never...
Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama.
And what did you learn?
After he died on a voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there.
Should have been.
Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared.
What? Kazuma's body vanished?
Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Kazuma-sama isn't in there.
Did Professor Mikotoba know about this?
Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak.
I just don't believe it. But where did his body disappear? His body should have been unladen at Hong Kong. But his body never arrived in Hong Kong. Or it has arrived in Hong Kong, but did not pass into the care of the consulate. His death was not of relevance, right? It was a terrible accident. Terrible misunderstanding. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Buria were definitely strange. Huh? What do you mean? I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Well, that was the plan, actually. How is this strange? Could it be that he's actually still alive?
Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear.
But we ascertained his death. How can he still be alive? I mean, Sholmes was there. He should have known if he was alive or not. I could not believe he would make such a amateurish mistake in not checking if the body was alive or not. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much.
Yeah, I mean, where did he disappear to? Did he get amnesia and stranded in Hong Kong without anyone to rely upon? This is really terrible.
Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he?
That's what I was talking about.
And
And he would definitely examine the body. I remember it clearly. Ah, you're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing. Exactly. And at that time, he wouldn't have known any government secrets or anything, right? And he didn't even know us. I suppose that's true, yes. The idea that he might still be alive somewhere, it wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it, because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. Oh, Susato-san. I'm terrified of what that might do to me. Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me all about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museums as well. So, you're fully abreast of the situation already, Mr. Sato. I'd expected nothing less, to be honest. I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebler. Drebber? The engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick. Yes, a conjurer of sorts, but by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic. Then we need to go and arrest him. Well, yes, we can't arrest anyone, we're just lawyers. We must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really do need to find the man. I thought Baruch von Sieg is gonna subpoena him. Is he not?
It sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police or a great detective.
Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think.
Good idea. Well, best of luck then.
Oh, you're not coming today?
I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. Also, you can only have one assistant accompanying you in this game. But let me know later how you got on, won't you?
That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Okay. New location. What's the new location? We can't go to prosecutor's office. We can't visit Van Sieg's. That's a shame. Is Sholmes here? He's not here. Okay, then we don't need to be here. He's probably at the museum. Madame Tuspel's investigating the case. Let's investigate first. Okay, Susato-san wants me to visit everywhere. Lord Chief Justice's office? Oh. A white-haired lady? Oh, who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart? I wonder, I've never seen her before. Ah, the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result. Oh. You mean because of Professor Hairbrain's experiment? Sham science being demonstrated at London's Great Exhibition. The country's been made to look foolish and now politicians are scrabbling to respond. Lord Van Zieks is in Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. The special dispensation that prevents investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Oh, and we can investigate now then. Once that happens, my forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time. It's scrap metal now, is it?
Until later then, Lord Strongheart.
Yes, thank you.
Who was that?
That was Dr. Courtney Scythe, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner.
Ooh, Courtney Scythe. We heard this name before. We saw this name on the post-mortem report.
She is leading the forensic investigation team's handling of this case. She was just delivering her report about the victim, in fact.
Oh, I see. About Mr. Asman.
Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to re-evaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you will have to ask her directly. You can find her in the forensics laboratory.
Ah, right. I can just visit her, just like that? That's amazing.
Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time.
So he's not running quite so spectacularly late anymore. Do we have anything to talk about? What exactly is the forensic investigation team that you mentioned before?
The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace forensic science and everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago now, unofficially of course, to pave the way.
Oh goodness, a year ago?
At next month's symposium, I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensics division. And once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly.
What do you mean?
For too long, those scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes. But London's scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell. I intend to see to it personally.
How do you plan to do that?
By creating the finest police force the world has ever known to protect our honor and our future.
Okay. Look at those eyes, he means every word.
Dr. Scythe is an extremely reliable coroner. When I officially established the forensics division at Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikotoba.
Yes, my lord.
Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan.
Yes, that's right. I understand he will arrive at the beginning of next month. Are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart? With Professor Mikotoba, I mean?
It was many years ago now, but yes, I remember Dr. Mikotoba very well.
Okay.
If my memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Britain as a visiting student.
It was the year I was born, so yes, 16 years ago in fact. Susato-san! You're only 16 years old! What?
Mikotoba was a young practitioner of forensic science and Jigoku. Accompanied him as a young promising judge. The The punctiliousness, is that even a word? And politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly. Why in past tense? Am I not impressing you now? Not that I wish to imply impoliteness or carelessness on your part in any way. I didn't think that you were. Dr. Mikotoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. St. Sinners? I thought it was called Bartholomeo's now. Wait, am I mixing those two up? Dr. Scythe was also there then, as it happens.
Then Dr. Scythe knows my father, does she?
She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly, but I have no doubt they knew each other superficially. After all, Dr. Mikotoba was here studying his subject for some 6 years in total.
6 years? That's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it? I lived with my grandmother in those years.
So he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years?
It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Oh.
Perhaps father wanted a reason to get away.
What do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. I wanted to ask you about Lord Van Zieks, actually. I heard that his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as the Professor, who targeted nobles and royalty. Is that right? You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well, yes. And you could say it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper.
What? Why?
When his brother, Clint Van Zieks, was murdered, it was just after young Baroque had graduated from the University of London. Oops. And became a prosecutor, when obvious criminals who managed to evade conviction in court started disappearing. Rumors quickly spread throughout the capital. Londoners started to say that wherever Baroque Van Zieks went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind.
Oh my word!
So, Lord Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, it's the ghost of his brother? Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles.
Oh yes, Lord Strongheart.
Go ahead.
It's about Professor Harebrain's experimental machine. We'd like your permission to examine the remains if possible.
Are you well versed in science then?
Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently.
Well, the special dispensation legally preventing investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Scythe's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation, but I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing.
Thank you. Being able to look at it is better than nothing. And I'll be able to see it too.
Your time is up. You will have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. My next engagement calls.
We are extremely sorry to have troubled you when you are so busy, my lord. Oh, Susato-san, I miss your diplomatic statements.
I don't know. I have important matters to attend to in preparation for the symposium, you understand?
Okay, let's Oh, Susato-san, have you read something more about those armor? Knight in armor? These very European suits of armor are still glaring at each other. In a way, they feel like guardians of the Lord Chief Justice's office. I suppose they're rather like the lion dogs that guard shrines in Japan, aren't they?
Aren't they a bit too human to be called lion dogs?
Did you know that it's a dream of mine to keep 2 cats one day?
I feel as though we've gone off at a bit of a tangent, don't you? You want cats? Like 2 cats? Like 2 lion dogs? That's cute. Where is the... Yeah, forensics laboratory. Whoa. This almost looks like Van Zieks' office. I believe this is it, Dr. Seid's laboratory. That chemical smell really assaults the nose, and there's plenty to assault the eyes in here too.
It looks as though the doctor isn't here. But we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think?
What a seasoned tourist you've become, Mr. Sato. We could just have a little look around, being careful not to upset any restless souls. Okay. I hope she doesn't return too soon. Look at the skeleton. Well, look at this. What a magnificent display case. The cherry wood has been polished to a high sheen, and the intricate carving is a joy to behold. Western cabinet makers really are very skilled, aren't they? I wanted you to look at the skeleton.
Do you have nothing to say about a skeleton inside, Mr. Naruhodo?
Mr. Sato, can't you tell that I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of the case? It's how I cope!
I'll be sure to remember that from now on.
Fair enough. These are taxidermied animals?
That looks like an owl and a crow up there.
I know, and they haven't even twitched since we came in here.
Well, no, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts, Mr. Naruhodo.
I was afraid you were going to say that. I've been trying very hard to tell myself they're just sleeping with their eyes open.
Yes, I think perhaps you were wise to put something like your Daruma doll on display in your office instead.
The thing is, there's no music in this room. That is very atypical. Those large jars seem to have pale things floating around inside them. I suppose they're fruit liqueurs or something. Or like the pickled umeboshi plums we make back home. No.
Father had jars like that in his laboratory as well. I expect they're human organs in a preserving solution, probably as examples of some rare medical condition.
Mr. Sato, there are some things in the world that it's perfectly fine never to know about, ever.
Oh.
So as I said, I'm sure they are fruit liqueurs or umeboshi, aren't they?
Of course.
I love this. A table and a set of sharp tools. When you consider each in isolation, it all looks quite innocent. So why is it that when you put them side by side, they seem so horribly disturbing?
It might be best not to ponder it too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though.
Large tome open on the desk? Where? I don't see. Oh, you mean on the what? I mean, not on the left desk, on the center right desk.
How can anybody concentrate on bookwork with this acrid odor of chemicals in the air?
You'd either have to have a cast iron constitution or a really terrible sense of smell. Okay. A cabinet full of medicine. Look at all the bottles on the shelves in these cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals.
These one here are labeled highly toxic.
That's worrying, because there are also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in there. Oh yes, and they actually say salt and pepper on them. The doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she has meals here sometimes. Life goes on, even when you're surrounded by death. Or maybe she put something else in the salt and pepper shakers. That's what my mother does. I mean, she just puts... She sometimes puts vinegar into a soy sauce bottle, and then when I want some soy sauce, I put vinegar into my food, and then the food is ruined. Yeah, that's what my mother does. I suppose this is Dr. Scythe's desk. I would not like to work in a place like this. It's very tidy though, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Imagine how efficiently she must work. The lighting is poor, which is bad for the eyes, and the chemical smell can't be good for you. Not to mention the skeleton watching over you as you work, which is definitely bad for the nerves. Well, yes, those are valid concerns, I suppose. I can just about cope with the one-eyed Daruma door watching over me, but that's all. Okay. Was that everything in here? Okay. Well, she hasn't returned yet, so maybe we'll return here later. Okay. We need to spend a little more time investigating here. Can we do anything? I have inspected everything, right? Haven't we? Feel like we have. Okay, let's come back later.